and I hear the first officer call out, and then the first officer jumps on the radio and he screams, "Holy shit, it's the goat man!" And I mean, it's just like everything went quiet, and I could hear the ringing in my ears, and I could feel my heart race, and so I hit my light, and I went flying up there.
I've been told by some older people, elders, that you grab them and you hold them, and you don't own them, but you hold them there until daylight. If you can hold them or pull them into the light, it destroys anything they have, any kind of power or anything they were trying to do to you. It'll destroy them.
This guy was like bouncing, like, you know, like how you see people kind of getting ready to jig, you know how they kind of bounce? Yeah, he was like that way. He was just kind of bouncing, and he was just kind of going back and forth on one foot to the other. And he just kind of turned sideways, and he turned back over to the other way, and he took off. Holy shit, he jumped in Wanda.
This is Lodge Tales. I'm your host, Rod Williamson, and thanks again for joining us on another episode. If you are Native American and you'd like to come on the show to share your strange and paranormal experiences, please consider emailing us at lodgetales@gmail.com. Welcome to Lodge Tales. I'm your host, Rod Williamson. If you have anything you'd like to share as far as the paranormal and anything spooky, or you know of anyone spooky, have them get a hold of us. They can send us an email at lodgetales@gmail.com, or you could join the Facebook group of Lodge Tales and communicate directly with me there. Thanks everybody for listening to the show, showing us all the support. Please leave a good review for us if you think it's a good show, and share it wherever you can. I really appreciate it. The podcast is growing, and it's all because of folks like y'all. So this week on this episode we have Keri. She's from Alaska, a small little village up there, and she shares a lot of stories. In particular, she talks about this house that they lived in where there was a demonic presence in there. And there's a number of things that went on in that house, and she elaborates on a lot of those. And toward the end, she goes into talking about little people. Sadly, I had to cut the interview short because in my podcast room, I have this door over here, this metal door, but it faces the outside, and there was a storm coming, and it's just loud toward the end. On top of it all, since she's in such a rural area of Alaska, her phone cuts in and out here and there. But we can make out the stories that she's telling, and we can understand it. It's just spotty here and there. So I'd like to apologize for those issues beforehand. So let's go ahead and get into the show with Keri. Well, welcome back to Lodge Tales, everyone. Tonight we have a guest from Alaska. Her name is Keri, and she's going to tell us a few stories about her experiences up there in Alaska. And Keri, if you would, introduce yourself and just go ahead and lead us into your stories.
Hi, my name is Keri. I'm from a small rural village in Alaska, and I've lived here my whole life. It's just a little village where everybody knows everybody, everything. So, back in 2013, there was me, my husband, my daughter. She was the only child at the time, and we had rented a house, and it was just a tiny house. Like, it had no bedroom, a bathroom, and the rest of the house was septic. You just open the door, and there's a bed all over it, and in the back there's a heater, a lazy boy couch. Along the side of the wall, coat rack, and the other side of that house was the rest of the kitchen and appliances. It had two big appliances, refrigerator and like a stacked washer and dryer. It was like a dorm with full size appliances and a full bathroom. So on Halloween night, I got home from bringing my daughter trick or treating, and there was a new scary movie that just came out. I can't remember the title, but I know it was based on a true story. And yeah, I was into scary movies back then. Like, to me, it felt like nothing. It just felt like something that happened to someone. So after that, we were all asleep, and I woke up, and there was like a big. We had a metal bed frame that had it stuck out in the back, like, I don't know what you call it. But it was metal, and I woke up and it was like our bed shook, and I woke up and I looked at my husband. He was sleeping, and I thought he might have kicked the end, and so I went to check how feet were from that end, and his feet were like a foot away from there, and he couldn't have kicked it. And I was kind of freaked out, but then I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna go back to sleep. So I back to sleep without thinking of anything. Another night, it was very calm outside, without any wind. There was nothing, not even the grass moving.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was dead calm, and we woke up. The house was shaking. It was shaking, and you could hear like little thuds. Like, imagine being in a condo, and there's a kid running around, and the house is shaking. But there was nothing outside. I don't know what could have been making that little running noise, but our house was shaking. You could hear the refrigerator and the washer and dryer. They were shaking. My husband also woke up from bed, and he looked out the window, and he's like, it's not even windy outside. And he couldn't figure out what was doing that. So I was like, just go back to bed, ignore it, don't pay attention to it. And we went back to sleep and just tried to ignore it. I think those were the two major from the very beginning. And then January came along. I was out of town with my daughter, and my husband was home, and my sister-in-law was visiting with her daughter.
Yeah.
They called me, and he was like, or my husband called me, and he was like, something's happening in here. There's a DVD cover floating in the air. It's still there. And then after he said that to me, it fell down to the floor. I don't know what was going on. They didn't tell me what else had happened. But one of the major things that happened during that night was that DVD cover floating in the air.
Oh, they all seen it too, huh? They're all just kind of staring at it?
Yeah. I don't know. That was the only time that they saw something floating.
Yeah.
And then, like, not long after that, it was quiet for a bit, but it had, I think it was I can't remember what month it was, but I was asked to go chaperone on a trip for a wrestling team, and I had told my husband. He was like, okay, and he seemed okay with it, but all of a sudden he had this really uppity attitude, and he was like, why are you trying to go? Like, he was accusing me of things, and I was like, I'm just going to chaperone. So we were having that negative attitude towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had gone to lunch, he was getting breakfast ready for my daughter. He was laying on the bed, and he was in the kitchen area where he could just turn his head and he could see her. He heard her trying to breathe, and he looked over at her. There was a blanket covering on her mouth, and like he could see a shape of a hand on that blanket, like an imprint.
Yeah.
And he was like freaked out, and he went to go take it off her face. He was 4 at the time. And after that happened, I guess he realized that we've been having, like, we were taking turns being negative at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that he was sorry and that he could feel something in there. After he told me that, that's when I realized that, yeah, I noticed that we've been so negative towards each other at some time. That was happening.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that was happening. And again, even if we're aware of being negative, like we were, I don't know, we just kept being negative. And even small things, like another night, we were going to sleep, and he had fallen asleep. And he, like, everything irritated me, even his breathing, his breath on my, like, if I could feel his breathing on my face or near my ear, I pushed him, and I was like, get away from me. And then all of a sudden, like, it was like he was having sleep apnea, but at the same time, his eyes kind of rolled back, and he was making this scary growl noise. I never heard that noise before. And not my husband, but this ugly noise, this ugly voice. He said, "I'm so happy." I can't imitate his voice, but he was like, "I'm so happy for you. Keep fighting your husband. Don't ever stop fighting your husband." And that gave me chills, and I just yelled out as loud as I can, said, "In Jesus' name, get out of my house. Leave us alone." And then right after I said that, he gasped. He took a gasp of air, and he was shaking. He was scared. He was shaking. And I was like, what was going on? Why were you doing that? And I kind of thought that he was shaking, but then I also thought he couldn't have been making that ugly noise on his own.
Wow.
And after he had said that, or that happened, it was like before I can't think of the word. Before my awareness went away, a big dark shadow with horns came at me.
Oh, jeez.
And yeah, that gave me really bad chills and most unsettling feeling I've ever had in my uh
Wow. So that all these things just kept happening, and they just kind of led up to that, huh?
yeah. Oh, I skipped a part. Before that had happened, because that house was so small, I had a full size bed and a twin size bed, so we just put them together.
Mm-hmm.
I had my daughter on twin size bed. One night I woke up, she was crying, and I asked her what's the matter. It was dark. We sleep in pitch dark, and the only light that will come in is like the little electrical light things, or like if there's a crack in the window, there's moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
She said that she pointed towards the other side of the house, and she said that that scary monster is trying to get me. So I took her and I put her beside me and I held her and didn't want her to feel uncomfortable.
Wow. What do you think it
And
was?
I don't know. It seemed kind. I think it might have been a demonic or something,
Say that
because
again?
that's never demonic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gee.
Now that after this passed, now that I think of it, maybe if I left it alone, like maybe one of us could have been or something kind of scary.
Yeah. Is that house still there?
Yeah, somebody's living there, but I don't know if anything happens to them. Or
Wow.
anyways, after after that last scary part where my husband had the ugly demon voice,
Mm-hmm.
I posted on Facebook and I asked, what can I do? I don't want this to keep happening to us, because that was the most scary thing that ever happened in my life,
Yeah.
paranormal wise. And one of my colleagues, he he's her religion is Russian Orthodox, so
Mm-hmm.
she had a bottle of holy water. Told me to pick it up, so I did. Told me that I should wipe holy water without going clockwise
Mm-hmm.
and just to keep praying. And then another one said, Ulok, uh, that's a semi-lunar women's night.
Mm-hmm.
They said to put that above the door at when we go to bed to keep spirits away.
Like a barrier.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
after we tried it, that it kind of calmed down. We could feel we felt much lighter and like we could breathe, and it wasn't so heavy anymore.
Yeah.
But even if I did that, the only activity that was left was in the bathroom. I don't know why it didn't leave the bathroom. There in that bathroom there was so hanger thing or something
Mm-hmm.
to keep like shampoo and stuff, and then it had a hanger to put like rat, and it would squeak whenever it moved. I had gone after my sister was visiting, and the bathroom door was open a little bit, and we heard that squeak, and I was like, "Did you hear that?" And she was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, so creepy." We just left it alone, and we didn't want to go to the bathroom. Things like that would happen in the house. Like things would fall off that shelf and shampoo and body wash. I think before we moved out, maybe before summertime, maybe it was May or April, I was taking a shower and I had no cuts or scratches on my arms that I was aware of. And you know when we get scratched and stuff, and when we put like fresh scratches and we get soap on,
Yeah.
it like stings.
Yeah.
I got to my arm and the soap had burned, and I looked at my arm. I had a long scratch from below my above my wrist to under my elbow. I my arm never scratched on anything. I didn't scratch it. I had no idea that got there. That was creepy. Also, my sister would come stay at my house when we would be out of town. And she was watching my daughter too at the same time, and he could feel something in the corner for the lazy boy. And he would just feel like something's there watching. And then there would be that getting noise outside on that corner of the house. And my sister asked my daughter and said, "What's that noise?" And my daughter said, "I don't know." She sounded like she was so confused, and that's kind of that's kind of unsettling for her to be so calm about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's kind of creepy like that.
Yeah.
That's how she answered my sister.
Wow. So that house, there was always something there, then you guys never fully got rid of it, huh?
I'm not sure. We moved out when we moved back into my other house. I was thinking, geez, I hope I don't bring spirits back to where we lived in. We went back to my dad's house.
And it didn't follow you or anything like that? Nothing happened like that?
I don't think so. I never heard. I never woke up in the middle like that.
Yeah.
But now in the house, it's kind of where I have to go half my life. Half my life I lived in that. And sometimes when my kids are old and I come home and they that thing fell by itself, or they just talk about things that fall. And every time that happens, I just start praying and praying for negative energy to get up. Yeah, but nothing like that demonic thing happened again after getting out of that little house. Also, after that, I read about watching movies based on true stories.
Yeah.
Like exorcisms and stuff. I read that when we watch those things that we're inviting them to work. I don't really watch scary movies anymore. Because if I do it, that I'll invite them into my home. And I don't want that to.
Yeah, I've heard that before. It's like you're giving life to something, you're allowing something to, inviting something, like you said. I've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard even if you're telling stories, you can invite something in, you know. So I always pray when I'm done doing these, you know. I pray for the people that told the stories, and you know, because in our way, we're Blackfeet from Montana, and there's a lot of things that we use to protect ourselves, and you know, we have different, how would I say it, protections that we call upon or that we use that help us and protect us against things like that, or the possibility of anything like that happening. You know, usually we run into things that there are things that you can't handle on your own, but the majority of the things we can handle on our own, that we're given, like say we're getting spooked by say some spirit like that raising hell with us, you know, the different smudges alone, those sweetgrass, cedar, sweet pine, you know, sage, all of those things, they really work. They can flush out those bad things, especially cedar. We believe that when you burn cedar, it can actually burn those bad ones. That smoke, it can burn them. It'll harm them. You know, so they have no choice but to leave.
Yeah, in our culture, I'm a big, and we don't have those things here. We also have there's a plant those called Labrador.
Yeah, I've heard
And in
that.
in our language we call it I. And my mother-in-law said before, but I've never seen it or done it, but it's very similar to burning sage.
Mm-hmm.
And she explained it like you let Labrador tea burn and smoke, and then you like fan the smoke out for the house to get rid of anything or anything paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very, very similar to smudging.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is smudging, but just with a different.
And have you used that in that old house? Did you ever do that in there?
No, I didn't. But I did anoint with holy water.
Yeah.
I think, but we're not on moving house pretty soon. So I think I'm going to, before we move in, I think to get some ayurveda and do a smudge before we move in.
Yeah.
So that we're, because I don't want to ever experience that again.
Yeah, geez, I don't blame you.
Yeah. If you, I was listening to your podcast. It was about 9 o'clock at night. I work in this, and I was to pick myself out by listening to stories in your podcast. So I stopped it and I was like, okay, better pick good music, happy music before I leave, or I'll go through the hallway.
There's some really scary stories in the past episodes. I mean, yeah, I've heard some of the stories that I've recorded, and I've actually had nightmares. You know, just thinking about some of the things I've heard since I started the podcast. It's, man, some of them are really creepy. Just the image it puts in my mind almost like haunts me in my dreams. So I'll make sure I smudge off things like that, you know, and it helps. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And my class is far from the, so I have to walk out maybe a minute or two to get to the house.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, we go out the front entrance. Now I go out be one of the side entrances.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'd go out the front, there's a hall with no windows, so there's absolutely no light. And before I get in there, it's black, and I'll turn on really fast, and I'll go all the way to the other side, and I'll crack the door open, the light off, and I'll walk out really fast. It's creepy because it always feels like I am somewhere at the school when I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I kind of at the same time, like if I ignore it, it won't. It will know that I'm paying attention. Yeah, that was all of the clothes I have living in that house. So I can move on to the school.
Okay.
Or is there? Yeah. Last about year in the winter time, before when was it? It was January. And, our people say that activity happens more when it's winter. I don't know the reason. A lot of things that show up just when the ground is cold.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. They talk about it. Me and my niece, we were in the school. We coached mixed school basketball together. So we were here about another hour over, and we were leaving. No, we were standing outside the gym in the hallway, and you could hear somebody jumping. But all the lights in the gym were off, and the high school boys had already gone. But it was like somebody was jumping from the bleachers down to the floor. And we were standing up there, and we were like, I wonder who's in the... I wonder if somebody was hiding under the bleachers and left the person in charge just left with making sure everybody's gone. So we walked slowly towards the gym door, and we opened it, and all of a sudden all the jumping noise stopped. There was no more jumping, and we just looked at each other, and we had tingles, and we walked back to my class. And I was like, that was so creepy. It really felt like somebody was in there jumping back to the floor from the pictures.
Yeah. Well, schools are real... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
And it was the same day before we had left. My niece was using the bathroom. She could hear somebody walking, and we were the only two left in the building that night. And I was in my class, and I went out. I went out to wait for her, and when she came out, I was there, and she was like, I thought I heard you walking past. And I was like, no, there's nobody touching me. And,
schools are really haunted. I don't know why that is. I've always heard, I mean, doing this now and then just kind of being a ghost story kind of, I've always liked ghost stories, and I've always listened to them from different people in my tribe and, growing up and stuff. But, even experiencing them schools are really, they really have a lot of that going on in them. A lot of schools have that. Every school I remember thinking back, this one school we went to, an elementary school, Napi Elementary, people would hear basketballs bouncing in that gym, and there'd be nobody there.
Yeah.
It goes on and on. I went to Chamawa Indian School too, and that place has a lot of spirits there. There's a lot of stuff that happens there. And
My dad went to what school, but he's never told me about things like that.
yeah, there's a lot of activity at schools. I don't know why that is, but there really is. There's another school back home. A guy was a janitor, and he took a picture of this thing. To me, when I look at that picture, it looks like this short man that has a goat bottom to it, like goat legs. I don't know. It looks creepy, but it's a shadow figure looking thing. And I mean, there's another school in a place called Hart Butte. My brother-in-law works out there as the head of maintenance, and they constantly hear stuff, and you know, it's a common theme I hear from people. A lot of times these schools, for some reason, they have a lot of activity going on at them.
Now that you said that, makes me wonder. I wonder if it's the old schools, like, and all the residential schools came up. I wonder what if it could be the old spirits that just hate the schools because of the bad things that happen in schools.
It could be.
Yeah, this kind of makes me wonder like that.
You know, they might be attracted to the suffering that took place in some of the schools, you know?
Yeah, because I live right across from the school, and even at night, I could hear balls in the gym, balls bouncing, and I still hear that, and I could feel it too, because when there's like ball games happening, I could hear the bouncing all the way from my house, like people running and bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still the same noise, even if there's no basketball going.
Yeah, that don't surprise me, because, you know, I guess I've never really thought about it, but it could be too that, you know, like how they say kids are more, how would I say it? They're more closer to the Creator, more closer to God. They're more innocent, and a lot of times they can see things we can't. So maybe, and just in a way, they might attract spirits to schools, and those spirits just still hang out there for whatever reason. You know, as the kids move on, maybe those spirits just like being around the kids, and they just stay there. Yeah.
Yeah. Still kind of creepy though.
It is. You know, because we believe a good spirit can scare you because you're just surprised by them. You know, like, oh, look at that, you know, but for the most part, those good ones don't necessarily really scare you. Like, they don't put that fear of God in you, you know. So if there's something really scaring you, we always believe that's something bad, you know. So that makes me wonder too, because a lot of these school hauntings are really scary. So I think even those bad ones get attracted to those kids, and they must hang out there. I kind of suspect it's those types of spirits that are lingering in those schools and stuff.
Yeah, and I know that spirits, like, they feed on fear and like fear. So time I'm leaving the school, I try to act like I'm not aware of that. Try to make it feel like, try to make myself look like I'm not being watched. And then right when I get closer to the door, I'll walk faster. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my oldest daughter, before, when we lived in that little house, she used to be scared at her. I would talk to her. Nothing can harm you. Bad spirits can't harm you. You just have to pray about it. Know that Jesus is always watching you. So that kind of helps. be scared.
Yeah.
One time, my husband was gonna go to work, and going to work, and was waking up. You need to get up. You're gonna go to my dad's house here alone. He just wanted to sleep. I was like, I can stay here. Jesus is watching me. And I'm like, no, you have to be alone like that. So that's how she had it. Like, Jesus can babysit her.
So anything else happen around your guys' village that you know of? Like, I guess one of the things I've always been meaning to ask people from Alaska is, have you guys...
Oh, we also experience things like little people.
Yeah.
I that's the only thing I know how to explain them is by little people.
Yeah.
And in our culture, we have, I think there's three types of little people.
Mm-hmm.
There's the ones that are for mischief,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is for helping. And I can't remember what the last one was. I think it was like telling the future, being able to tell the future by what those little people reveal.
Hmm.
I've had, I think, one experience with them. We were in the winter time. We get down by snow machine because we don't have any road. We don't have the road system up here.
Yeah.
And the only way we can travel out is by snow machine in the winter or four-wheel ATV.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the summertime or anytime the water is open, we go by boat, by the ocean and river.
Hmm.
So when my husband is from the next village over, and I think we were there for Christmas break, and we were on our way home, or we were trying to come home, and it had blizzarding, and it was getting hard to see, and when the high tide comes in the winter time, it can be dangerous. Because the ice can break open from the water being rose, and so we started going, and there's hills. When we leave that village, we pass by hills, and it said that the little people living inside hills, and we were going. My daughter was about 3, I think. We had her completely covered, like, and she was sitting in front of, and she was completely covered. We didn't take the blanket off her. And while we were going, my husband said, "Look, I see a thing," and that's it. And he was like, it's jumping from hill to hill, and I'm like a scaredy cat. So like, I didn't want to look so scared.
Mm-hmm.
He said, it's jumping from hill to hill. I was like, I don't want to look at it. And, a snowfall was getting thicker, so we stopped. We could see the water right at the time. We didn't want to take a chance, so we were like, we should turn around. And so we turned around, and we could see the village lights glowing into the sky, but it felt like we were taking longer than usual to see the actual town, like the street lights. took about maybe 15 or 20 minutes longer to actually see that house. And we got back to my in-laws' house, and that's when we finally took the blanket off my daughter. And she said, right, we were over there, but and me and my husband, we both got tingles, and we were like, we looked at each other, and we were, how does she know? Like, she doesn't know about it. She didn't know people when she was that young. And we told my mother-in-law that, yeah, little kids, even if they can't see them, they know that they're there.
What did she say? You kind of cut out during that part. What did she say to you guys?
Oh, my mother-in-law said?
No, your guys' daughter. What did she say?
When we took the blanket off her, she pointed towards the trail that we saw, and she was like, right, we were over there by the monster food.
Oh.
So she couldn't see anything. And I told her that, yeah, little kids know that things are there. They can't see them.
Yeah. But you guys, was this jumping from hill to hill? What did your husband say? What it looked like?
I can't remember how big he said it was. It was like probably a foot or 2 feet, somewhere there.
Whoa.
These things, the little people, like when they want to play Pakistani, they can change. They can change the, I guess, the dimensions of our world. And some people get lost, like they're going in a circle. I think it happened to my husband when he was following a trail, but he kept seeing the same tree. And that happens. You're supposed to take, like, if you have an axe, you get off your vehicle and go to the trail, cut the trail, or cut the trail with the knife, and then that breaks that change in dimension. And after, I'm not sure what he did, but he was able to get out of that repeating trail he was on.
Weird.
And I don't know, there's a lot of people I think that happened to. There's a lady from here, and she was out ice fishing, and she went by herself, and she could hear cornfields and snow machines passing by, but she couldn't see them. And to her, it was daytime. They say that when little people take over your surroundings, that you also lose sense of time, or that it doesn't take a lot of time. Like 24 hours, nothing in their world.
Yeah.
And so when you get stuck into their attention, the time you go with their time. And so this lady, she was out fishing, and she could hear. To her, it was a couple hours. And when she finally, I don't know what she thought at first, but I think she took a piece of dry fish or something. And when she finally left her fishing spot, she got home. I think she was gone. And it was the next day when she got back to town.
Wow.
So the little people time, it goes very slow.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh. That's super
And also
interesting.
that my mother-in-law told me, she said that little people will leave you alone. Like if you tie a piece of dry fish around you or something, or keep it in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, they're very and like there's areas in Alaska where people will get lost and have no trace. I think that's when I start to wonder if that's little people dimension or something.
Since I had to cut the interview short because of the storm, I had agreed to call Keri back at some point in the future, and as soon as we do, we'll go ahead and get part 2 of her episode out. And I'm looking forward to hearing more of the stories from Alaska. They're so interesting because they have a lot of things I've never heard of. Like if they don't want something bad following them, they cut the trail with a knife, or if they're being disorientated by a little person, they cut the trail that they're following circles around and round and round. They'll cut that with the knife too. It's really interesting way to. I've never heard those stories and what they do, but yeah, I love learning more about the other cultures and how they deal with these things. So our next episode I'm putting out is going to be a patron episode with myself on it. I'll be telling part 2 of mine. It'll be episode 28, and look forward to that, all you patrons. And I have another guy lined up that's going to talk about Bigfoot, and I'm really looking forward to that one. So stay tuned, and until next time.